Picture this: a stage in London, packed with journalists, tech reviewers, and Samsung's biggest fans from around the world. The lights dim. A massive screen towers behind the presenter, big enough to swallow the entire back wall of the venue. And then, out of nowhere, a face appears on that screen that has nothing to do with smartphones, nothing to do with chipsets, nothing to do with battery life. It's the face of Jimin from BTS, frozen mid-performance, lit up in green stage light, blown up larger than anything else in the room. And if you're watching this, and you're wondering why one of the biggest tech companies on the planet chose a K-pop idol's face to reveal their newest phone feature, stick with me, because the real reason behind this moment is way more interesting than you'd expect. Before we get into it, if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now, because we're about to break down exactly what happened on that stage, why Jimin specifically was chosen, and what it says about where his influence actually sits in the world right now. So let's rewind and set the scene properly, because context matters here. This wasn't some random live stream or a leaked internal video. This was Galaxy Unpacked, Samsung's biggest showcase event of the year, held in July 2026 in London. Galaxy Unpacked is the event where Samsung reveals its flagship devices to the entire world, the kind of event tech journalists fly across continents to attend, the kind of event where every detail is planned down to the second because millions of people are watching the live stream, waiting to see what's coming next. This particular Unpacked event was a big one too. Samsung used the stage to reveal an entirely new lineup of foldable phones, including the Galaxy Z Fold 8, the Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra, and the Galaxy Z Flip 8. These are flagship devices, the kind of phones that get unboxed by tech YouTubers with millions of subscribers, the kind of phones that define what an entire year of smartphone technology is going to look like. And if you're into tech at all, you already know how big of a deal Unpacked is. But stick around, because the phones themselves are not actually the reason we're here today. It's what happened during the software demo that made this moment go from a regular tech reveal to something army and casual viewers alike could not stop talking about. During the presentation, Samsung wasn't just talking about hardware. They were talking about software too, specifically a brand new AI-powered feature built into the Galaxy Gallery app. The feature is called My FanCam, and it does something that honestly sounds like it was built specifically with K-pop fans in mind. Here's how it works. Let's say you have a video, maybe a group performance, maybe a concert clip, maybe anything with more than one person in the frame. Normally, if you wanted to isolate one specific person from that footage, you'd need editing software, you'd need to crop it manually, you'd need to adjust the aspect ratio yourself, and by the time you're done, the moment has already passed and nobody wants to see it anymore. My FanCam changes that completely. You open the video in your gallery app, you tap a button shaped like a person, the app scans the footage, and it lets you pick exactly who you want the camera to follow. Once you select that person, the AI automatically reframes the entire video around them, centers them perfectly, adjusts it to whatever aspect ratio you want for sharing, and produces a clean, ready-to-post clip in seconds. No manual editing, no waiting, no guesswork. Just point, select, and share. If a feature like this existing genuinely surprises you, go ahead and smash that like button right now because trust me, the story is about to get even more interesting. Now here's where it gets specific to Jimin. When Samsung's presenter got up on that London stage to demonstrate exactly how My FanCam works in real time, they didn't use some random stock footage or a generic demo video shot in a studio. They used a FanCam, a real FanCam, of BTS performing their choreography for Dynamite, one of the group's most iconic and globally recognized songs. On that massive screen behind the presenter, the group performance played out, and then, right there in front of the entire audience, live, the presenter tapped the button shaped like a person and selected Jimin specifically out of the entire group. Within seconds, the AI reframed the footage, cropped it down, centered Jimin perfectly in the frame, and displayed the text GIF remaster right there on screen as the transformation happened. Think about that for a second. Out of every single artist, every single group, every single piece of footage Samsung could have used to demonstrate a brand new flagship AI feature on one of the biggest stages in the tech world, they chose Jimin. Not a generic actor, not stock footage, Jimin. And that's exactly the moment that sent people online into a frenzy. Because this wasn't a leaked rumor or a fan theory. This was something that happened live on camera, in front of a room full of journalists who then wrote about it, and in front of a live stream watched by people all over the world. Screenshots of that exact moment started flooding social media within minutes. Fan accounts picked it up immediately, translating and sharing the story across different languages so ARMY everywhere could see it for themselves. One popular Jimin fan account described the moment in detail, explaining that Samsung had introduced its new Galaxy foldable lineup, and that Korean media outlet Money Today had described the phone using a phrase that stuck instantly. They called it the second idol phone. Now, if you're not deep into K-pop culture, that phrase might not mean much to you, but if you are, you already know this is a massive compliment, and we're going to break down exactly why that phrase carries so much weight in just a moment. So keep watching, because understanding this part is key to understanding the real reason behind Samsung's decision. Let's talk about why the phrase, second idol phone, matters so much. In the K-pop world, idols are more than performers. They're cultural icons whose faces, styles, and personal brands carry enormous commercial weight. When Korean media specifically frames a piece of technology as an idol phone, they're not just making a lighthearted comparison, they're acknowledging that this feature was built with a specific kind of user in mind, someone who is constantly capturing, editing, and sharing footage of the artists they love. Anyone who has ever tried to make a clean FanCam of their favorite idol during a live performance knows exactly how frustrating it can be. You're zooming in with shaky hands, you're missing the moment because you're too busy fumbling with settings, and by the time you've cropped it manually on your laptop, half the internet has already moved on to the next viral clip. My FanCam solves that exact problem, instantly, on the phone already in your hand. So when Samsung wanted to show the entire world exactly how powerful and precise this feature really was, they needed an example that would resonate immediately, something instantly recognizable, something that would make even people who don't know anything about K-pop stop and pay attention. And that's where the real reason starts to take shape. So don't go anywhere, because we're getting into exactly why Jimin, specifically, was the name that came up. Here's the thing about Jimin that makes him different from a lot of other artists you could plug into a demo like this. His presence, his image, and his global recognizability have already crossed way outside the borders of K-pop fandom. This is someone whose face has appeared across fashion, style, and brand spaces far beyond the music industry itself. Someone whose visual identity, from his hair to his stage presence, has become instantly identifiable even to casual audiences who might not know a single BTS song by name. When you're building a demo meant to be understood instantly by a global audience sitting in London, watching a live stream in dozens of countries, you don't pick just anyone. You pick someone whose face triggers instant recognition, someone whose presence alone tells the story without needing an explanation. That's the real reason this wasn't random. It wasn't about picking any idol from any group. It was about picking someone whose global visibility made the demo land immediately in every country, in every language, without Samsung needing to say a single extra word about who he was. If you're starting to see why this moment mattered so much, drop a comment down below and let me know, because I want to hear what you think the real reason was before I finish breaking it down. Now, of course, the moment this clip started spreading, the reactions online were massive, but they weren't all the same. On one side, you had fans absolutely losing it with pride. The same fan account that first shared the moment captured that energy perfectly, celebrating the fact that Jimin had gone from music to fashion, and now technology, calling him a true global icon whose influence just keeps expanding into new spaces nobody expected. That kind of reaction makes sense. When you followed an artist for years, watching him show up unprompted on a stage that has nothing to do with music, in front of an audience that has nothing to do with his usual fan base, feels like a massive validation of everything you already believed about his reach. But on the other side of the conversation, there was a different kind of reaction too, and this is honestly one of the more interesting layers of the story. Some viewers pointed out something worth thinking about, questioning why a company would use someone's likeness so prominently in a major product demonstration without that person being the official face of the brand. It's a fair point, and it's part of why the full story here matters, because this wasn't framed anywhere as an official endorsement deal or a paid partnership announcement. There was no press release naming Jimin as a Samsung ambassador. What happened was narrower and, in some ways, more telling. Samsung used his FanCam footage as the clearest possible example to demonstrate what the feature could do, precisely because his image was globally recognizable enough to make the demo work instantly for an international audience. That distinction matters. And if you're the kind of viewer who appreciates a channel that tells you the full picture instead of just the exciting parts, make sure you're subscribed, because that's exactly the kind of breakdown we do here every single time. Let's zoom out for a second, because this moment doesn't exist in a vacuum. It fits into a much bigger pattern that's been building around Jimin for years now. This is someone whose presence keeps showing up in spaces that have nothing to do with music charts or album sales. Fashion houses, luxury brands, and now, apparently, flagship tech demonstrations from one of the largest electronics companies on the planet. Each time this happens, it reinforces the same idea that his cultural footprint has grown well past the traditional boundaries of being just a K-pop idol. When a major tech company is choosing footage for a global product reveal, they're not thinking about fan loyalty or chart performance. They're thinking about instant, universal recognition, the kind of recognition that makes an audience of tech journalists in London immediately understand what they're looking at without a single word of explanation. That's an incredibly specific kind of influence, and it's rare. Most performers, even massively successful ones, don't have that. Being famous within your genre is one thing. Being recognizable enough that a phone company builds a live demo around your face during one of the biggest tech events of the year is an entirely different level. And honestly, when you think about it from Samsung's side, the choice makes a lot of practical sense too. This wasn't a decision made carelessly. Companies like Samsung don't leave anything to chance during an unpacked presentation. Every single second of that keynote is scripted, tested, and reviewed before it ever reaches a stage in front of journalists and a global livestream audience. If they chose Dynamite choreography footage and specifically selected Jimin as the example within it, that decision went through people whose entire job is understanding what will land with a worldwide audience the fastest. Dynamite itself isn't just any song either. It's one of the most globally recognized tracks BTS has ever released, the kind of song that crossed over into mainstream Western radio and pop culture in a way very few K-pop songs ever have. So layering Jimin's individual recognition on top of a song that already carries that level of global familiarity wasn't a coincidence. It was a calculated choice designed to make the demo understandable to literally everyone in that room and everyone watching online, regardless of whether they'd ever listened to a BTS song before in their life. This is honestly what makes this story different from a typical idol goes viral moment. This wasn't a fan edit, it wasn't a meme, it wasn't something ARMY manufactured or exaggerated after the fact. This was a decision made by a massive multinational tech company on their own stage, using their own demo software, in front of their own handpicked audience of journalists and reviewers. Samsung didn't have to explain who Jimin was. They didn't need a slide with his name on it. They simply used his image because they trusted, correctly, that people around the world would recognize him instantly. That trust, that assumption baked into a corporate keynote presentation, tells you everything about where his global recognition actually sits right now. If this is the kind of deep dive breakdown you've been looking for, one that actually explains the why behind viral moments instead of just repeating the headline, this is exactly the kind of channel you want to be subscribed to. So go ahead and tap that bell icon too, because we cover moments like this the second they happen. Let's also talk for a moment about what this means going forward, because moments like this rarely happen in isolation. Once a company demonstrates that an artist's image resonates on this level during a major keynote, it tends to open the door for more collaborations down the line, whether official or simply through continued cultural relevance. Even without a confirmed partnership announcement, this moment alone did something extremely valuable for Jimin's global profile. It placed his image inside a conversation that has absolutely nothing to do with music charts, streaming numbers, or award shows, the exact spaces where his career has already dominated for years. Instead, it placed him inside the conversation about global technology, about AI innovation, about the future of how people capture and share content. That's a different kind of spotlight, and it's one that expands his reach into audiences who may have never clicked on a BTS video before in their life, but who absolutely watched that unpacked keynote because they care about the newest Samsung phone. Think about the layers stacking up here. You've got tech journalists writing about the moment because it's relevant to their coverage of the keynote. You've got Korean entertainment media picking it up because it's relevant to their coverage of Jimin. You've got ARMY across the globe sharing it because it's relevant to their fandom. And you've got casual tech viewers stumbling across the clip because it showed up in their algorithm attached to a phone they're thinking about buying. That's four completely different audiences, converging on the exact same 60-second moment, for four completely different reasons. That's an incredibly rare thing to pull off, and it's exactly the kind of cultural crossover moment that most artists, even massively famous ones, never actually achieve in their entire careers. So when you ask yourself, why did Samsung really choose Jimin? The honest answer isn't some simple explanation. It's a combination of factors, stacking on top of each other. It's about a song, Dynamite, that already broke through into global mainstream recognition years ago. It's about an artist whose individual visual identity has become instantly recognizable across borders, across languages, and increasingly, across industries that have nothing to do with music. It's about a feature, My FanCam, that was specifically designed to solve a very real problem fans face every single day when trying to capture and share the moments that matter most to them. And it's about a company that understood exactly what kind of footage would make that feature click instantly for the widest possible audience watching from every corner of the world. Put all of that together, and the choice stops looking random at all. It starts looking exactly like what it was, a calculated, deliberate decision built entirely around the size and reach of Jimin's global influence. And that's really the story here. Not a rumor, not speculation, not something pieced together from fragments online, but something that happened live, on one of the biggest stages in tech, watched by a global audience, and confirmed through the reactions, the coverage, and the screenshots that spread within minutes of it happening. Jimin's face didn't end up on that screen in London by accident. It ended up there because somewhere in Samsung's planning process, someone made the call that his image was the clearest, fastest, most universally understood way to show the entire world exactly what their newest AI feature could do. That's the real reason. Not hype, not speculation, just the simple fact that his global reach has grown large enough that even a company like Samsung is willing to build a keynote moment around it. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, first of all, thank you. Because I know this one went deep, but this is exactly the kind of story that deserves the full breakdown instead of a 30-second headline. If you enjoyed this, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next deep dive. Drop a comment and let me know what you think the bigger picture here really is. And if you know someone who needs to see this moment for themselves, go ahead and share this video with them right now. There's a lot more where this came from. So stick around, because the next story is coming soon.